stand here again today to stand with Palestine and the Palestinian journalists being systematically murdered again for telling the truth. As national journalists against genocide, who still chooses not to abrogate my humanity by still rejecting the corrupt colonised notion of both sides and to uplift anti-colonial insurgent journalists have decided to make a stance against the heinous genocide stenography here at the ABC that gatekeeps a pale-stale version of journalism in this failed colony of Australia. I want to pay my respect to the elders and warriors of the unceded Jagera and Turrbal land on which we stand today, fighting to remind us all that this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Chesterfield, I'm an undercover brother, Kaurna, Nunga and Kulin Nations man and a grassroots insurgent journalist. Reported on anti-colonial land defence struggles across blackfella so-called Australia, West Papua and the Middle East for over 20 years. We share the same struggle against genocide and for land battling. I'm also standing here again as part of a rank and file media, entertainment and arts alliance members for Palestine. That is mature enough to tell the truth on Palestine, on blackfella lives, and to ask the questions that create justice. However, that requires heavy decolonisation of journalism and a public broadcaster that actually sticks to the Journalism Code of Ethics, and particularly its own charter. We no longer have those public broadcasters in this colony. The ABC is an offence against all notions of journalistic integrity over its coverage of the genocide by Israel. We are calling for the ABC to allow journalists to report without fear and without favour. It's time to dismantle this academy. It's time for an intifada in journalism. The ABC is no longer fit for purpose as a public broadcaster if it can't hold abusers of power to account. Speaking of holding to account, just count how many ABC journalists are here today covering this. After 120 days since Israel began its genocide, Israel has killed over 110 journalists and media workers. It's still at the rate of almost one journo kill every day. War crimes. Yes. The Gaza killing field continues to grow. And as of today, at least 27,131 people, including more than 11,500 children, 8,000 women are dead. More than 66,287 people are injured, including at least 8,663 children. And 6,327 women injured, with over 8,000 people still missing. You would think with this, many journalists being targeted amidst a genocide, that Australian journalists would remember their ethical duties and at the very least say something, anything, about the murder of our colleagues. Yet we hear nothing but crickets. Our journalist colleagues being targeted through the provision of intelligence support by Australian forces, stationed in Doha in Florida at US Central Command and at the US spy base at Pine Gap. But where are the stories? Where is the outrage that the Deputy Board Chair at SBS is a Zionist weapons dealer? Working for Northrop Grumman and the unit that makes the targeting system of the Hellfire missile, used by Israel to target our Palestinian journalist colleagues. Again, how is it appropriate that this Zionist mass murderer sits on the board of the media organisation? Where are the accountability questions to our politicians about their craven support of Israeli and US actions of genocide? Not against not just Palestinian people, but now expanding their latest warmongering into Yemen, Iraq, Syria and eventually Iran. The rest of the maniacs in Tel Aviv. The only journalists allowed to ask questions are those who aren't critically parroting the salivation of empire to the march to war again. Journalists who are critical and ask questions at the colony are always deplatformed or persecuted. Case in point, the engineered attack on our colleague Antoinette Lattouf for daring to question the infamous AJA doctored video that falsely claimed gas Jews was chanted in Sydney. The recent leaks of the chat logs for the WhatsApp 600 group showed the level of depravity and the false victimhood the Zionist genocide lobby will go to organise the silencing of journalistic integrity. There will be rallies held across the colony on March 8 as Lattouf's court action against her unfair dismissal takes place. MEAA members for Palestine will be there and we ask you to join us. Yes, there have been measures of solidarity from journalists still at the ABC. The letters of to the ABC management and the open letter from Australian journalists have called for stricter editorial guidelines and sticking to journalism ethics in coverage of Palestine. Yes, this has galvanised solidarity, but the key effect of this is those of us who have signed these letters have been banned from reporting or decontracted. There have been mass meetings. There has been belated action from the MEAA House committees to mildly call on ABC management to do better on Palestine. But we have still yet to see mass walkouts or strikes. This must be done. There has been a staff-wide no confidence motion in the ABC management, which was totally ignored. Laura Tingle is a staff elected board member and as such has a duty to represent the interests of the staff. She refused to do so and expressed full confidence in David Anderson and the entire management. This is a perfect example of white coloniser journalism, completely turning their back on colleagues of colour when they get a chance to cosy up to white power structures. Journalists still working at the ABC who have a platform yet are refusing to act. It's pretty shameful. There have been resignations, so it begs the question. Those who are choosing to stay are either completely powerless or have they chosen to be complicit in disseminating the propaganda of the war criminal. Can the ABC ever be reformed? Let's be under no illusions. The ABC has always been a state broadcaster. It is an institution of the colony, designed to uphold the colony. Anyone who questions the mechanisms of violence of the colony is persecuted and made an example of to terrorise every other marginalised background journalist, especially black and Arab journalists. This is by the design of the colony. The failure of professional solidarity from journalists in this colony to journalists being killed and persecuted is only outweighed by the failure of professional objectivity in journalism. At least international organisations like RSF are actually out there charging Israel with war crimes at the ICJ. Why are no Australian journalists reporting this? There have been glaring failures of coverage of Israel's disproportionate war crimes in Gaza. Too many to list here. But together it is clear that this is voluntary censorship. The reporting of any Palestinian casualty figures is always prefaced by, quote, according to figures from the Hamas-run health ministry. To legitimise the suffering of Palestinian people, ABC reflexively inserts this preface even into reports from the West Bank, where the health ministry is not run by Hamas. One of the greatest acts of international solidarity, the genocide case brought by South Africa against Israel in The Hague, has seen a lack of coverage on ABC that can only be described as censorship. I mean, come on. The non-stop racism by programs like Q&A and 7:30 against Palestinian perspectives is blatant and continues with impunity. The ABC Ombudsman, what a joke, found there was no case to answer. Cops investigating cops. Even this morning, the Murdoch ABC hack David Spears framed a cowardly interview with Anthony Albanese regarding the removal of UNRWA funding, breaking the ICJ provisional rulings, turning it into sledging all aid workers as being Hamas. Talking points directly from the IOF. As a great black journalist says, what the fuck is wrong with these people? About Australia's history of war crimes. The entire IPA-run board and grammar school management must go. It's demonstrated that it doesn't have the interests of its staff, the interests of the Australian population in truth-telling, or the adherence even to the ABC Charter. How could it when most of the board members are major recipients of Zionist cultural funding largesse? They're refusing to hold the sickening ALP to account by challenging Australian entanglement in IOF objectives. The cabal of Palestine-style journalists that run ABC News and Current Affairs have failed in their core duties as journalists, in holding power to account. These genocide stenographers are still repeating the lies of Israel over October 7th. All investigations into the bin to challenge IOF claims. The recent decision of Penny Wong to suspend UNRWA funding hasn't been challenged. With repeated breaches of the Journalism Code of Ethics, these handmaidens of journalism need to be kicked out of our union as well. There is no place in our union for editorial or senior staff or senior journalists who allow harm to our colleagues. MEAA members for Palestine have been working very hard organising and trying to organise professional solidarity with journalists being targeted for reporting truthfully. Hopefully our current union elections will be able to get more pro-Palestinian voices in positions to affect change. This whole white edifice of inside the tent sucking up to power and polite white ABC needs to go. Society that we live in, nor the aspirations of a significant proportion of our population. A simple aspiration to not conduct genocide on innocent civilians. The only way to change this edifice of genocide, stenography, masquerading as journalism is to tear it down. We need to take over these newsrooms once again and hand them back to the people. Whether that's through occupations, work to rules or general strike, journalism must be taken back. In this place, genuine insurgent journalism must be built to support a global intifada of truth-telling.
Thanks in solidarity with the journalists who are trying to resist this silence and this censorship. If you think of the modern history book, the modern history textbooks that we study, when they look back at the terrible